Uh,
Excellent. Hello, everybody. Today, we're going to be going over transhumanism in Jedi Realism, exploring the convergence of futuristic ideologies and spiritual philosophies through a cinematic lens. So, I like presenting on strange topics, and last year we did a very heavy topic. So, today I decided to do a bit of a lighter topic. Introduction to Transhumanism. Transhumanism, at the furthest end, promotes the enhancement of human capabilities via cutting edge technologies, aiming to surpass our biological restrictions. This movement invites us to consider the profound implications of integrating technology into our very essence. However, despite how problematic a vast majority of people may believe it to be, it is more commonly the case that these people themselves are transhuman in practice without without realizing it. In this class, I hope to demystify the ideas and philosophy behind transhumanism and help you realize how it plays a part in your daily life. It's a bit of a fun topic for me. It's one of my little niche interests. So first, who am I? Hello, my name is Darcy Raine Winterthorn, a Jedi Realist of 9 years, currently a knight at the IJF and Conclave. Getting the chat screen up so I can double check and make sure everybody's cool. Boop and a boop. Here we go. Concepts of transhumanism. Does it play in fiction? So first, I think the important part of um, understanding transhumanism is the idea of a subjective reality. Reality is not a fixed entity, it is influenced by personal experiences, beliefs, and cultural backgrounds. Each individual's perceptions forms a unique lens through which they interpret the world around them. Given this explanation, we could infer that if reality is indeed subjective, one's experience is also subjective. It's subject to factors such as level of ability, level of disability, and level of awareness. The way that we interact with the world around us, like when I get up in the morning, one of the first things I do is I grab my glasses. I need my glasses because without them, my level of ability is severely impacted. My level of disability is skyrockets, and my level of awareness is about 2 inches from my face. Um, it ain't great. So, and as a result, like, yes, everything should be nice and clear, but subjectively, to me, the subject, it is a blurry mess without glasses. So, we have to understand that everything is subjective to the individual. So, how one would interact with such a reality is also subjective. Technology's impact. I believe this is probably how most people would view transhumanism, just given the concept and the very briefest of Google searches. The advent of technology has transformed human interactions and perceptions, blurring the lines between what is real and what is digital. Our engagement with devices and digital platforms shifts our understanding of reality. Currently, we have technology such as augmented reality and virtual realities. The difference, of course, being virtual realities are completely encapsulated, typically within a headset. Augmented reality is sort of like add-ons to a virtual space. You'll see such things like Google Lens, for example, where you can like have things going on around you, but you're able to see the world around you. These technologies can help streamline tasks such as workload with remote and in person work, as well as help people manage their daily lives. I think a prime example was there was a company in Japan way back. They needed to hire somebody to use an excavator, but what they did is they hooked it up to a remote operating system and they were able to hire the best person for the job who happened to be in Germany. So he was able to operate this massive excavator from home, which was pretty cool. With advances in artificial intelligence, AI, we can see how the future of how we interact with the world is going to change. Um, I know when some people think AI, they're thinking AI art, AI videos, stuff like that. I'm very anti that type of stuff. Um, I think that it's whole whole use should be in making our lives better, not making our lives subjectively worse. Star Wars and transhumanism. Oh, here we go. So the realm of Star Wars offers many examples of transhumanism. The mods, which are pictured here from the Book of Boba Fett, Luke and Anakin's hands, where they get it cut off and they just replace it within like a few minutes. Echo, a clone from the Clone Wars and the Book of Boba Fett, where he's almost entirely machine at that point, are all obvious examples of transhumanism. The mods even treat it as simple as a procedure as getting a tattoo. They literally call it a modification parlor, where you need an appointment and you're able to skip the appointments if you have enough money, because it's as simple as that. They're just machines that you can add on. One guy has like a mechanical eye. One from on the front here, she has a mechanical arm. Um, they just help make their lives a bit easier in a very harsh environment. Um, of course, this type of technology is not available to us yet. Um, but as we can see, Star Wars, I think, uh, embraces this idea of transhumanism. So, boom. So, transhumanism is often called the most dangerous idea. The notion that we can control and redesign our evolution raises profound ethical dilemmas and existential questions. It challenges the very fabric of what it means to be human. Or does it? I don't believe it. Like, I believe it does if you only view it at a very elementary level. Um, can't wait to be able to do that on my knees. Absolutely. The second they are able to give me properly, fully functioning robot arms, I am going full General Grievous, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop me. Uh, so, the potential benefits of transhumanism. Transhumanism presents promising advantages, such as the possibility of eradicating disease, significantly enhancing cognitive capabilities, uh, and significantly enhancing cognitive capabilities. These advancements could lead to longer, healthier lives and a more intelligent society, ultimately improving our quality of life. The easier we're able to do our jobs, the more productive we can be. Therefore, we're able to, go about our lives. I work in a hotel. Sometimes I need to traverse all the way to the other side of the hotel in order to get the information I need in order to answer a question from a guest. If I could just have that information like projected on the inside of my glasses and be able to handle it like that, I'd be way more productive and not have to leave whatever I'm doing and log into computer systems and try to deal with all the loading times. So, is it dangerous? The risks and ethical concerns. However, the movement raises serious ethical concerns, including the risk of creating a divide between those who can access enhancements and those who cannot. Such inequalities could exacerbate existing social problems and create a new class of enhanced versus unenhanced individuals. Such technology, of course, would probably especially like in the next immediate future, would only be really available to the exorbitantly rich. If you were able to completely transfer your consciousness into a robot body and leave mortality behind, I'd never be able to afford that. Um, I believe this is why a lot of the ideas of transhumanism are distinctly observed to be socialist ideas, because if it's available for one person, it should be available for everybody. In a capitalist mindset, we're not able to. We'd be like, okay, well, what's the price point? And when most people living paycheck to paycheck, while other people are having joy rides to space, we can see a bit of a divide there.
Can I just mention something real quick?
For sure.
There was an episode of a series called The Black Mirror,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the episodes especially speaks of what you're talking about,
Yeah.
where this woman had this debilitating um, disorder, and it would basically her mind would go into a very serious level of dementia, and it was killing her. So he did everything in his ability to sell everything that he had, go and take jobs, do things online, all sorts of stuff, humiliating, whatever, did everything he could because he was able to get this chip put into her brain to allow her to live a normal life. But it came at a cost because it would always be, it would always be the one you have only works so far as the zones, but you could buy this upgraded kit that allow you to do that. Well, this one will work for so long, but then you have to buy a subscription and da, da, da. And
Mhm.
it was constantly juicing them for money. So it's along the lines of what you're saying, and I wanted to share that with you that 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 particular show does show the potential of what we're capable of doing, but like you said, at what price and where are the downsides? That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly. I don't know if anybody remembers the animated movie Robots, um, where there's like there's a lower class of robots where they just get hand me down parts, scrap parts, in order to improve them, like in order to like keep functioning. But then you got the upper class that are like, oh, I only buy new robot body, new parts, brand new parts, and they're always trying to encourage people to like upgrade and all that. It's interesting like that. Would the lower class of our timeline in a transhumanist society, would they only have the lowest budget things? However, we're going to go into that because um, we are all transhuman. I can guarantee every single person in this chat is transhuman. Technology shapes daily existence. Y'all are hearing this and watching this, maybe. Um, you're using technology that would be well beyond what you would able to physically could do yourself. Um, as a result, you're augmenting personal ability with technology. It's not integrated into your body, but you're able to interact with it in almost a seamless manner. Um, Boom, there we go. That's part one of the being transhuman. I know you're watching us on a rock. Yeah, well, you rock, dude. Thank you for showing up on a rock. Medical advancements and redefined health. A couple thousand years ago, if I had an allergic reaction to my cat, um, I doubt I'd be able to get the medicine I need to stop having an allergic reaction. I would just have to ride it out, wash my face, hope to God I don't die. Um, but nowadays, I just pop a quick pill, boom, done, easy peasy. We got medicine to handle all sorts of uh, ailments, illnesses. I think one prime example where medical advancements and technology combine, you would see mechanized diabetes pumps. Those are just on your body. They monitor your insulin levels, injects whatever you need it. Boom, easy peasy. We before like even just a few years ago, you would have to do that yourself, but now you can just have an insulin pump on you and just pay it no mind. So we're going to do a bit of a thought experiment for anyone who's here and actually and watching. I call this one the hand. You just take your hand and just hold it out in front of you. I'm not gonna pick on anybody. Everybody could do this. I want you to look at your own hands. This is your hands. Um, Now, when you say that, it's when you look at that and you say it's your hand, it is belonging to you. Now, let's say that got cut off right off the wrist. It's lying on the table in front of you. What would you call it? You would still call it your hand. You go, oh my goodness, my hands. Would you be a human being without that hand? You just had a stump here. You'd just still be you, 100% you. You just not have your hand anymore. That I believe is the most fundamental hurdle when it comes to people understanding transhumanism. Is I know escalated quickly, but you see this all the time with people. There's a statement: everybody is only temporarily abled. Um, so, example, my eyes are pretty terrible, so I have glasses to fix them. When my leg failed me, I had to have a cane. Um, but say I, because I was in a motorcycle crash last year, and my leg got fairly beat up. Thankfully, somehow, didn't even not even a fracture, not even a break, nothing. Aether goes down a couple stairs and they're ruined for a month. um, but I get into a horrible motorcycle crash, completely knocked out, and I'm rushed to the hospital. And they're like, "Oh wow, you're fine, just a little bit swollen, a little bit beat up, but there you go." Um, but say it went the other way. Say it went terribly. What I had done, I could have lost my leg. I could have lost my like possibly from the knee down. They said it was extremely lucky that that didn't happen. I wouldn't have a leg, and then I would get a medical implant or something, or maybe not. Who knows? Whatever I could afford. Thankfully, universal health care. I probably would have been fine. I would still be missing my leg, the leg belonging to me, but I would still be me. Not be able to see basically anything without my glasses as before I was in kindergarten. The reality of this has been at the forefront of my mind before I knew how to color inside the lines of a coloring book. Yeah, I remember when I learned that I needed glasses. I was homeschooled for a long time. I thought everything was fine. Went to public school and they put me in the back of the class, and I'm like, how is anybody seeing anything written on the chalkboard? I'd have to go sit at the very front row, even though I didn't have a desk, just because I needed to see what was going on. So with this thought experiment in hand, you real the I'm hoping what you realize is every part of your body is just something you own. Like if somebody shaved off all my hair, I'd be livid, but I would still be me. Um, at what point can you keep start removing things and then it's not you anymore? Are you only your mind? Are you not even your mind? And are you just the one observing your own mind? When you have a thought, you think, I'm thinking that, or you can hear that voice in your head, but you think of that voice in your head. You are hearing it. So it's not you. It's, it's very up there. So the question arrives then, what is your authentic self? In an era where technology permeates every aspect of life, the concept of the authentic self evolves. It prompts critical reflections on how our identities are shaped by both internal experiences and external technological influences, especially as we venture into a transhumanist future. The well, actually, we'll just move on from here because I believe this part is more important. So, like, being able to identify yourself is key here because we realize that you're the one interacting with all these different technologies. I'm the one interacting with this computer, this camera, this mouse, this um, speaker, this headset, this keyboard, this operating system, this presentation system on this uh, screen sharing system in order to communicate with all you of this idea. Um, so, self creation, a structured pathway towards personal evolution in the age of technology. Identifying core values, clarifying what truly matters to the individual, and establishing a foundational understanding of self. I said it earlier in this presentation that if I could, I would absolutely get those General Grievous arms. They could split into four. One, because I love spinning lightsabers. Two, I work as a bar. I work in bars and restaurants. I would love to have a couple extra hands to hold things. Because the amount of times people like come up to me when my hands are full and I could just be like, oh, I'll just split off an extra arm and help them. That'd be great. Uh, would I miss my arms? I'd miss the artwork on them. The artwork's expensive. Other than that, I think it'd be very helpful to have extra arms. Um, so I don't identify with my arms. I identified with as myself. If something happened and I lost my arms, it would be a very big hindrance unless this technology existed. Integrate technological tools, utilizing advancements in technologies to enhance skills, knowledge, and personal growth. Everyone here has benefited from this. Um, All day today and all day yesterday, we were utilizing advanced technologies, computers, phones, microphones, headsets, cameras, all these things to enhance our skills, knowledge, and our personal growth.
Are we allowed to comment during this, or you want us to just kind of listen?
It's sort of electric. I do have questions later.
Okay. Well, I'll save my comments for the end then. No problems. I didn't want to
That's good.
interrupt you.
That's good.
All right.
Transform identity perception, exploring how digital influences reshape our understanding of selves and our interactions with the world. Life before technologies and all that were very simple, um, like very complex to the people of the time. But now I can see exactly what the weather's going to be like for 2 weeks without having to have like have that type of knowledge. I could just Google it. Um, we can have things protractor. No, um, we can just order things online. I don't need to go out to go get groceries. I can just have it delivered here, which saves me time, which means I can do other things. Um, and also, I'm able to talk to people all over the planet all at the same time. Um, because yeah, able to interact with the wider world. So we're all transhuman. It is my hope that by now you've come to realize how easily one can categorize themselves as transhuman, even if you initially gawked at the idea. So now it's question time. So everybody get ready. How do you see being transhuman playing in your day-to-day life? Can you give examples? If you use the hand raised feature, I'll call on people.
I think for me, I think about all the ways that I outsource like my brain in essence to searching for things to the internet and such, right, through my phone. And instead of having to do like go to a book or anything else, it's like we have this awesome little computer that easily available. Um, and there are definitely plenty of times when I go to it before I try to figure something out myself. It's not as bad as like what I would say other people do. Like, I don't even mean that to be judgmental, but I mean, there's a lot of thinking. I do plenty. Brain's always busy, but um, like I feel like I get what you're saying. I also think I'd rather categorize transhumanism as when like I'm really like not utilizing something that's inherent in my body and handing it over to my partner, my cell phone. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody typing in chat? There we go. What would you sum up as the definition of trend? That's at the point right now. I'm the one asking the questions, Aether. I would say the definition is technologies that you use to interact with the world around you, um, and participate in your subjective experience. So Jack says, I'm not going to have a chip installed in my hand so I can check out at Whole Foods more easily. We say that. However, I distinctly remember when I was younger, the only way to pay with a card was to swipe it. And then eventually they added a chip.
Oh, totally. But I
Then they
mean,
added tap. And
yes,
now you can pay by tapping your phone
but you can pay literally with tapping your hand if you get the chip installed.
easily. Rely says, I too have to wear glasses to be able to see. I think of modern medicine when I think about this stuff too. Absolutely. Modern medicine's huge on that. Especially when you look at like some of these intricate surgeries where these like surgeons are using robots, the Da Vinci robot, to be able to like perform these super intricate movements. Um, those are fascinating because they're able to use them like without really thinking. Aether says, I think transhumanism is a foundational is foundational at an evolutionary level, as we always been searching for ways to advance ourselves via communications, etc. Kimi Shrebeck in 200 times is a splendid example of it. Chemistry? Chemistry. Um, Anybody else? Ali? Anything? Ali's gone quiet.
I'm here. I'm so sorry. My son was grabbing my attention. I'm so sorry.
That's fair, fair.
Yeah, sorry
Um,
about that.
what I was going to say was for my example that I said in the chat about my knees, right? The one really like I agree with Jax, the whole glasses thing. I would have thought by now in history, with all the technological things that we've come to, that they would have came up with something better than having me wear glasses. And even though LASIK surgery exists, it's not an option for me. So I was always hoping there'd be something else, not replace my eyes with artificial eyes, but just something. Um, with my knees, I went to an orthopedic doctor, and I really thought this was quite humorous. There's an Asian gentleman, a doctor, and I go there, and after getting scans done on my knees, the guy says, "Well, there's a lot of wear and tear on your left knee, and that's going to take time, but you could still do therapy and whatever on that." He goes, "But your right knee, yeah, well, that's done." And I went, "What? What does that mean?" He says, "Well, you have no cartilage left in there." So I said, "So what are we gonna do?" He says, "Well, when you tell me you can't deal with the pain anymore, we'll have to rip that sucker out." This is what he said. He goes, "We'll have to rip that sucker out and put a replacement knee in there."
Mhm.
I'm a little dissatisfied with that solution. I don't really want to go that route. Although I have to be honest, I don't like not having, the functionality I used to have with this knee, having the pain that I have from time to time, especially when the weather changes. And I would like to be relieved of that pain. But since the solution they have only has a 10-year warranty, I don't want to repeat that again 10 years later. So I don't know. I'm really. I just wish technology would come up with better solutions. A lot of times, I have said that science fiction is a precursor to science fact, and I've seen some great things, even in Star Wars, where they take and put them in the Bacta chamber, and it regenerates their body. Well, come on, science, catch up and make it so that we can have things where we can regenerate cells or stop cancer or help people who have brain injuries or whatever it is. Like I wish there was more with technology going in there. Personally, I think that the United States should shift their financial investments and put it deeply into working on pushing us forward technologically in a positive way to help humankind um, improve. Uh, when you talk about the transhuman experience, replacing body parts, I mean, there are people who have artificial limbs. They've done some amazing things with that. Where you said, "Look at your hand," and they have stuff where I saw that wonderful video where Robert Downey Jr. goes and visits a little boy, and this little boy was missing his arm up to his shoulder, and he goes there and he brings the kid what basically looked like an Iron Man arm for the kid, and he puts this thing on in the arm, and he uses thought and muscle movement, and the arm functions and moves. And I think that's so wonderful that you can give somebody back that kind of functionality. So that's the upside for sure. And I do hope and pray that either during my time alive on this planet or uh, after me, that they come up with better solutions. I am complete.
Absolutely. A lot of people chatting in chat, so let's go through. Irta says it also includes technologies we'll be able to use to manipulate our own genetics for taking control of our own evolution. Yes. I think we see a little bit of that. Perhaps one day that could be like a full thing, but I don't see much on that.
That could
Expansion
be.
of yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say that could be. I get, that's really could be a good thing, but that could also, you got to be very careful because you never know when you start messing with genetics. I mean, we've seen all the movies, right? You never know where that could go in a good way or a bad way. It may seem good at the beginning, but it could also go off track and cause some very, very bad things, especially if you don't know what the long term is. But that could be said for anything. Anyway, I'm sorry.
It's also uh, problematic too because of the history of eugenics and all of that. I mean, it relates really to Nazism, right? So it's very problematic, and yet if you could go in and eliminate things like psychopathy, horrible diseases, it's
Genetic
very
defects.
tempting. It's very
Sure.
tempting, but it is
Sure.
problematic. Yeah.
Yeah, if you could prevent genetic defects, that would be unreal. I mean, that'd be huge. And especially if you could catch that early on, if that was detectable, if it was something you could modify. But, again, everything in the world, every time you create something good, somebody's got to come along and make it something bad out of it. So,
That is, of course, looking towards the future. How do we see the question, of course, being how do you see playing in your day to day life? Expansion to memory. Arkmar says expansion of memory to digital devices. Why bother looking for answers? Why bother looking for memorizing your wife's phone number when you can keep it in your phone? An excellent example. Like I used to know people's phone numbers. Now I'm like, if I don't have them on my contacts,
but certainly we have a lot more contacts to deal with. There was a time where we only need to know 5 or 10 of them.
well, how many people
And,
am I actually texting on a regular basis?
right,
Right now it's zero because everything's on like messenger apps and Discord.
Well,
that
that's also
that
why
too.
people
Facebook
had
is
phone books,
Phone books,
personal
yeah.
phone books.
Yep,
Phone
yep.
you can almost argue that phone books were early version of it.
Albert Einstein used to say that he never bothered memorizing his home address, phone numbers, and all kinds of other things. He wrote in a little notebook he carried. He said because he needed to allow his mind to be occupied with the things he needed to work on, not with trivial things like that he could write down in a book. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. But at the same time, another application is my mom sadly died from dementia. And my brother right now, my middle brother, he is got early onset dementia, and it's such a crime because he a brilliant attorney, a brilliant man, and now this has to happen. Um, and my mom, she dementia took her, uh, and my mom was an amazing person in my life, and I really really did not want to see that happen. And it was such a crime to see her go out that way. If they had the technology to prevent those things, that would be a great advance for human history.
It would be.
The big
Uh,
challenge, though, is, and it's a problem for both, since you brought up the Alzheimer's thing, but I mean, you lose books, phone dies, you forgot your phone at home. Like, as soon as you externalize something, it now has the opportunity to not be with you when you need it. Therefore, we have to also still use the brain and body that we're given. I mean, that might mean you want to tattoo it on you. I don't know. But, like having the option of like, I would encourage everyone to maybe memorize your own phone number and one emergency contact, because what happens if your phone died and you need to get a hold of someone, right? So it's really easy to get used to the fact that stuff is always available until it isn't. And especially in an emergency is usually when it isn't available.
absolutely. Um, oh boy, people have been typing. Oh god. Okay, we'll just go through this quickly. Uh, it's similar to how Acer says it's similar to how normative ethics could be argued down to be inherited, argued to be inherent down to a genetic level, but transhumanism is something we seek instinctively seek out. We seem to have an aptitude towards unconscious preference and an unconscious preference towards transhumanism. I believe so. And we'll be going to examples of how we have a preference towards it, even like every single day. Let's send that. Back to tanks being the dream. Absolutely. Oh God. Seems like people are having actual conversations over here. I'm trying to. Oh God. Okay. I'm not gonna read out the whole conversation. People are having their little conversation here, which is fine. So we'll go on. So the question, of course, was how do you see being transhuman playing in your day-to-day life? Boom. So those were all good answers. I think one of the funnest examples, which I believe Soph, if she's still around, would take joy in, acrylic nails. They change how you interact with the world around you. You have to type differently. You have to hold things differently. They are an addition to your body. They may not be useful, but they're there, and you change exactly how you move around them. Pens and pencils. Good luck writing things down without a pen or a pencil. Computers, wearing shoes. You don't naturally have shoes. You don't come out of the womb wearing shoes. You have you can walk barefoot, but shoes make it a lot more comfortable, and you can probably walk a lot further. Yeah, so you're the only person here that I think wears acrylics. Clothing, glasses, vehicles. You could travel so much further, so much faster with a vehicle nowadays. Medicine, anything that you could not do with simply your own body is an aspect of being transhumanism, transhuman. Now, where does the barrier lie between being a tool and being something that is, I would say, inherently part of the transhumanist philosophy? We only begin to feel that they're not part of us when there is a friction against these modifications. If this computer starts glitching up, I will grow frustrated. If my mouse, I'm moving in a circle right now, if it decided to just start going the other direction, even though I'm moving this direction, I would get very what's going on? That's not right. That's not right. The same way that if I was to move my hand forward, and if it wasn't to move forward, I would still be confused. When you're driving a car, you don't really at first when you're new to it, absolutely. But when you've been driving for years and years, like my dad, for example, been driving for 40 years now, something like that. Been driving, and there was a ka-thunk in his car, and I'm like, "What was that?" He's like, "Oh, it feels like the clutch." He could feel it in the car. He could tell where it was in the car where that thunk came from, without having to worry about it. He was just able to tell. He could feel the car extending from him. When your when your pencil snaps, the lead snaps, you can feel that, and you don't discontinue. You feel that, and you go, "Oh." But you don't really have to think about writing, do you? At first, when you're new to it, absolutely, just like any technology. If I was to take somebody from the 1800s and bring him here, plop him down in front of my computer and say, "I want you to go to YouTube and watch a video," he wouldn't be able to do that. We barely have to think about it these days. So that's where the barrier lies, is once there's a friction between yourself, your conscious thought, and the technology itself. So conclusion and reflections. Does it boil down to choice? No, I don't think you have to think about it. I don't think about wearing my glasses. I don't think about got my water bottle. It has a cap on it. Boom, it works. Now, I've had one of these exact types of bottles where this part ripped. I was able, when I pushed on it, there was a sudden rip, and I was able to feel that, and I realized that it would start causing leakage. it's not a choice. It's more something that you work around the medium. Um, Driving a car is very different from driving a motorcycle. Both of them you can still feel, and both of them you don't feel any major issues with until something starts to go wrong with it. Otherwise, you're just cruising along. Conclusions and reflections. Transhumanism compels us to reconsider what it means to be human in an era of rapid technological advancement. As we stand on the brink of redefining our existence, we must critically assess the ethical dimensions and potential consequences of our choices. But furthermore, it encourages us to consider what it is to be human and how technology and human advancements push us forward as individuals and as a whole species. But as Jedi, we must ask ourselves, how does the idea of transhumanism interplay with the idea of the Force and being a Jedi? I think we all can agree that advances of technologies is the way to solve as a great many problems. Sometimes, however, we can see that it is not. I believe the current statistics for using AI images is takes roughly anywhere from 1 glass to 1 gallon of water to process a single image. I don't believe that's completely sustainable with our current level of technology. So perhaps it should be something that is put on hold for the time being. Yes, Robin.
I just like and I'm a total outsider to all of this.
No,
It's
not at
just
all.
like, where's all the like lefties working on AI and on data centers who would try and make it work for the population and in a better way? I just feel because all the ethics has gone, like they're just doing whatever the heck they want. Whereas I think also the left, because I admit I'm one of those wet willied lefties, I feel that they've kind of gone Luddite. We're not doing technology because it's all bad. And I think it's much more in the middle than people would like to admit, because it does. We do have opportunities, but I'm just worried. It's interesting. You've chosen a really interesting topic, but I'm a little bit. Where are the lefties? Where are the lefties getting
Where's the
involved to
lefties?
ask these questions and the ethics? Where's the
Well, as
ethics?
Arkmara's just put in now, the answer is they're in open source programs. So we hear about all these like big technologies that are doing all these things, but these are typically the ones that have the most money behind them, are getting advertised, pushed to the forefront, such as like Meta AI, Open AI, Grok, Copilot, all these different things. You hear all the time, but the ones that are actually going to be changing things and aren't just there to generate money, like those ones aren't going to get the airtime that they deserve, probably. But yeah, so basically, like we're going to see a lot of people that are going to try to capitalize, unfortunately, on owning the rights to these. You could be like, oh, cool, guys, you can have robot arms for $12.99 a month. And we're going to secretly up the price every 6 months. And that could be how it is. We already see it. When I moved to Wales, okay, so right now in the UK, I have universal healthcare. It costs me roughly 10 quid a month for my prescribed medicine from the doctors for my mental health. So it costs roughly 10 quid a month for my medicine. But when I moved to Wales, I pulled out my card to pay for my meds, and they said, nobody in Wales pays for medicine. And they just gave it to me. So when I moved back to England, I was like, oh, well, now I'm going to pay for it again. You realize how important it is, how important money is when it comes to accessing these technologies. Medicine is a technology. It's a compact little beautiful chemical machine that helps us that can help us function. Can't describe how it is in the States. Don't need to describe how it is in the States. We've all seen the first 3 episodes of Breaking Bad.
Now that what I mean is like right now, literally people's healthcare is going to double and triple here in about 3 days
Yep.
or more.
No, absolutely.
So it's like
I've been watching it.
So that's why like, I could see actually how like that would influence this whole discussion, right? Is
Absolutely.
that there's a completely different process in every country. And there are going to be countries that, they're, if someone needs a prosthetic, they'll cover it.
Oh yeah,
And
I can imagine it'd be like the Netherlands. You just be like, oh yeah, oh cool. You lost your leg in your crash, but while you were under, we just got you a new one. Here's a sandwich.
yeah, like that doesn't happen here.
No, no, no.
Like, it's insane. So it completely, like, I look at all this stuff and I go, I have zero trust for any of it. Like, I'm not putting electronics in anything important like glasses and stuff, because that'll get, manipulated. Like, I used to be more trusty. Then things like Twitter get sold and taken over. Like, things that were actually relatively neutral, give or take, and there's perspectives on it. But, like, there was a time in the internet when it was actually relatively neutral. And that has changed over the years to the point where there's nothing remotely neutral about any technology anymore,
Mm-hmm.
because all the algorithms are manipulating everything. And instead of how we used to do things, like we would buy a software and just own it, everything is a subscription model. It's like everything that was good about the internet and technology in the past has been completely corrupted. So it's really hard to come into anything, into like looking into the future with transhumanism in a way that still holds hope, instead of just seeing all of the ways it will be done poorly, instead of how it could help the entirety of the planet.
Right. Robin, you got your hand raised.
Yeah. One of the things that I find worrying about this is that who are going to be the dummies? We can already see that America is now buying medical data from countries in the African continent for large amounts of money to study. um, and so I do worry that, as the African continent has often been the guinea pig for new technology, like HIV was AIDS medicine was used first out in the African continent before it came to any sort of white dominated countries, that there is an expense to be paid for, and I accept that I'm part of that because I'm in the West, that we get a much better product when some other people have paid the price by taking the first couple of doses. So, um, yeah, I'm just very conscious of that as well.
Exactly. It's. I believe that's where it become the Jedi realism aspect comes into this whole topic. It's like we have to recognize, because we are Jedi, we serve the Force and all that generate it. That's all peoples. I very much agree that these technologies should be accessible once they become available to just anybody. But the question, as you said, does become, well, who's going to go first? Um, we had a gentleman who had a chip installed in his head as part of a very prominent awkward hand movement person. Um, he had this chip installed, and a couple months later, it's no longer working. And it's like, okay, but like that, why? Why is it not working? Um, so, but yeah, just for the sake of the video, that is the end of the topic. So you can stop recording if you'd like. But thank you everyone for attending. I know it's a bit of a strange topic, but it's one of my little hyperfixations / fascinations, because it really does call into question the ethics of the matter, but also, like, I saw almost right away, nobody here was gawking at the idea of lopping off a leg if it meant better knees or getting better eyes, because we all recognize that these bodies suck. Okay, you could, like, they're poorly designed. 5 digits, five. Come on, I need like at least another two on here, but no, they could be better. And the technologies are slowly coming out. Technologies are currently out that we could only have imagined a decade prior, a century prior. Um, we're able to fly to another country just on a whim. Mind-boggling to people 200 years ago. But yeah, um, that is the end of the topic. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you learned quite a bit from it.